You're already speaking perfect Polish.
O kurwa! O kurwa! The cat.
A to,
Oh la la, so cute.
he was sleeping.
Yeah. I feel so sad my mamachka sent me my cat today.
She's so cute.
She's so chubby and like old and a bit clumsy, you know, and I'm like about my cat, not mamachka. I did invite him.
Is he on the chat?
Supposed to. I mean, he joined, but I came to Poland. Truck was stolen. It was my favorite
You
truck.
know that for life, right?
I said, fucking kurwa mać! Oh my god, I love Poland so much. This is my favorite country from now.
This is your favorite car.
Really?
Oh, it feels like a village, you know. It feels like I went to my babushka place, you know.
Oh,
You know, like we went to eat. It's super cheap. The portions are enormous, you know. And I was like, oh my god, that's so cool. And then like Polish people, they look so simple for me for some reason. You know, they're like, oh yes, let's drink vodka in sauna. Amazing. You know, it like I don't know. I like it very much. It was very fun. And their language is so cute. Like I don't know, they're like "o kurwa" all the time. I'm like, oi, oi, oi.
I know
Polish
that word, right?
Yeah, like I know that one. I learned also, moja koleżanka nie mówić po polsku.
Я не говорю по-польски.
No, my friend is not speaking Polish. This is what my
Колежанка.
Колежанка.
yeah. So this my
Aw.
boyfriend was saying to everybody, you know, like like moja
So-
koleżanka nie mówić po polsku.
Your girlfriend is колежанка.
I think so. I don't know, or maybe it's as far as I understood, or I think it's more like friend.
Okay, but колежанка sounds very
Did you
nice.
welcome Rich?
Yeah.
You
Hello.
were so busy with колежанка.
Hello.
Hey folks, how you doing?
Good,
Very
good,
good.
amazing.
Good.
How are you?
I'm doing all right. Thanks for having me.
Amazing. Join with camera, please.
You want the camera on?
Of course.
Of course.
All right, let me drop my sheet so you can't see my
Okay.
messy kitchen. Just one sec.
Okay. Okay, take
We
your
don't
time.
judge here. You can
Yes.
have
I just see like how amazing is the new layout.
Oh my god, yes. Who is the artist? I don't know. Oh my god.
Is it on Twitch?
All right. Let's see, get my video on. Hello.
Hello.
Such a nice beard.
Oh my.
It's totally out of control from the pandemic. It doesn't even fit in the frame anymore.
We've all
my God.
been there.
Looks so amazing. Anna, check our Twitch.
I checked. It was sometime for a little while Oleg was messing with code and then everything was fine.
Yeah, it looks so great. Oh my god. I'm such an amazing artist. Oh my god.
are
we're
you
just.
located?
Oh yeah, by the way,
What's that?
Where are
where
you
you're
located?
located?
Uh, Portland, Oregon, on the west coast of the United States.
It's the place where it's near the Twilight. That's how I remember that.
What?
Yes, there was
That's
lots
how
of
I remember.
Twilight. There was lots of Twilight filmed around here. Yes.
Oh my god, Anna, you're crazy about Twilight.
I was as a teenager like that Vampire Diaries.
Hmm.
What was else? Harry Potter, of course.
Of
Of
course.
course.
You were graduating from Twilight to a more intellectual property, which was like Harry Potter.
Oh my god. Did I tell you how I watched Twilight first?
Tell
No.
us now.
Oh, so basically, like in my school, everybody hated Twilight. They were like, "Oh, Twilight is for like stupid chicks," you know. And we were like, me and my friend, we were like, started wondering what's there, like why it's considered for stupid chicks. Like, let's check it out. And obviously, we were watching this in Russian because we didn't know English that well. And like, accidentally, we googled the like what was the name of him? Goblin's Dab. So
My God,
yes,
yes.
so I don't know how to explain it, but like Goblin's Dab, it's like basically a joke.
Parody?
Yeah, it's like parody, and we were like listening to it, and the jokes were amazing there, you know. And we were like, "Oh my god, such a funny movie!" Like I don't know why everybody hated it. And then we realized that it's not real translation, and they're like, "Ah,
They are doing a very funny voiceovers of every like
yes."
very different films, and it just makes the misery more tolerable.
Yes, so it was so fun, and we were like seriously like watching like watch the first movie like, and they're like, why everybody is hating that? It's so fun. So yes, this is and then we watched other parts, and it wasn't. I hated Twilight also, and I was also saying like, oh my god, this is for stupid chicks.
And then we grew up.
Uh, ah, cool times.
What is a pop culture
Did you have a chance to welcome Rick, by the way?
thing that you like?
We're busy talking about
I like you
robots.
are without
That's, that's
headphones.
fine.
What are you talking?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anna, continue.
Yeah, I was just asking what was the pop culture like movie or TV series that you liked when you were a teenager?
Oh, there. You know, that was the time period where all the like action movies were kind of like the Bruce Willis, Arnold Schwarzenegger kind of action movie kind of thing. So those were mainly the things we were watching at that point when we were kids. And then of course it was um, all of the John Hughes movies. So like
Okay. Hello.
What happened?
hello.
Oh, it's just a bot. Don't worry. It just records the voice, so don't worry. It's not a
So
person.
I wasn't sure if we were streaming or not. So like all the movies like Breakfast Club and 16 Candles and like all of those like teenage angst movies were super popular when I was a kid too.
Oh, nice. I never watched Breakfast Club. I just watched reviews of Breakfast Club, and that's how I know what's happening
Yeah,
inside.
yeah.
What's
Nothing
happening
more.
inside? Because I didn't watch. Also, I'm too young
It
for
was
this, I think.
a detention class for kids, but I
Yes.
don't remember any details.
It's basically like five very different high school kids who are all stuck in detention together. And of course, they all become friends by the end of it, but they all hate each other at the beginning of it. So it's one of those kind of like teenage angst things.
Oh,
Coming
is
of
it like
age.
it's movie, right?
Hmm. Yep.
I grew up on those shitty Disney movies. Oh my god.
Ah,
A whole new world.
Yeah, all those like shitty Disney, series. Oh my god, we're like singing all the time, and like some random shit is going on. Oh my god.
yep.
And
But why
And
don't you want to find Prince, beautiful Prince, after watching all these movies?
I found a beautiful prince.
aw, so romantic.
I know, right? The thing that I also learned when I was in Poland, like this weekend, I don't know, there was a guy and he was calling like his girl like kochanie moje. It's like basically like my love or something like this, but in Polish it sounds so cute, like kochanie. I don't know, I don't know. I fell in love in Polish language. That's amazing. How to say some cute things in Armenian, Anna?
I don't know, like Sidelis. That's like my
What?
love.
In
I
Armenia,
don't.
you don't say good things.
Yeah,
You're
we
very
don't.
tough.
We don't say good things. We
You just
once in a
drink
while
wine and then go to wedding and dance.
we drink vodka. We eat barbecue with
Oh yeah,
our
yeah, yeah.
special
Mhm.
grandfather's recipe that we
Of
have
course.
saved 4 generations. And yeah, and we dance during the wedding.
Yeah, 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 obviously. Huge weddings. Oh my god.
Oh,
Oh,
huge
who is
wedding.
there?
Hey,
Oh my god,
There we go.
you look so amazing in the bushes, Ale.
In the bushes. And just like for the
D-
yeah, for the context, let me just share the Twitch stream so you understand what I'm
yeah,
talking
yeah, yeah,
about.
yeah, because there is a layout and
Yes.
We are
So I will DM both. By the way, Rick or Rich, how do you pronounce your name?
Rick with a
Rick.
a hard K. Yeah,
Rick. Perfect. Rick, I shared the link with you, and
cool.
Anna knows
and
it
how
by
to
heart.
pronounce your surname?
Turoczy.
Rosie. Okay.
Yeah, it's not how the Hungarians pronounce it. I totally mispronounce it, but that's how we pronounce it in the U.S.
Oh, so it's like
oh,
Hungarian surname.
Yes.
Cool, cool.
almost all of our guests have some kind of like family in Europe.
Yeah,
I
like
I have
European
noticed
roots.
that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes,
Yeah.
Europe. Let's go.
It's like I think it was great grandparents came over to the U.S., but we've been in the U.S. for a while, but that name has survived.
That's so cool.
And until very, very recently, we all have lived in different countries, and Anna and Lera and I was in Stockholm, Lera was in Minsk, and Anna was in Yerevan.
So no, you better say countries. I was in Belarus, Anna was in Armenia, you was in
Mhm.
Sweden. It's a bit easier.
And now we'll move to
I
Eastern
grew.
Europe.
I actually grew up in Stuttgart, Germany. I spent 5 years there as a kid.
Oh,
So yeah,
it's cool.
yeah, it was
Because
super
usually
fun.
when Alex says like, cities, people don't know like what is this? Like what the fuck is Europe? Nobody knows that.
Yeah,
So we better say like
just
at
one
least
big thing.
countries.
Yep.
Yes.
Armenia, Albania. What's
What?
where is the country?
I mean, I remember how back in Korea, like I said that I'm from Belarus, and guy was like, "Oh, is it somewhere near Pakistan?" I'm like, "Close enough." So that's fine. I'm used to that nobody knows where I'm from.
So we
Mystery
have about 10 more
country.
minutes for the warm up. And Liana, can you please help Anna to tune on the cam because Anna is very small.
Yeah, Anna.
Very small.
Very small.
What kind of? Yeah, I might be going. What do you mean I'm small?
I don't. Probably because we see more of your ceiling than you, so you know that.
Okay. Ch- Uh,
Uh,
okay. Uh,
she I don't know what those sounds mean, but that's fine.
it means I forgot English. Is this better?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you're a bit bigger.
Now I'm thinking,
Just a bit.
Rick, what
Yeah.
so as you will see on Twitch, like what you see here in Discord and on Twitch, there will be a different picture, right? So on Twitch, like it's
Yep.
multiplex with stuff, and I will orchestrate things and all that, and also I
Yep.
will show something on the video, like for example, if you probably your Twitter profile, that's one thing, but
Yep.
if there's something else, maybe Pi, the website, or
I
the
Yeah, the
what else
website probably
would
works.
uh-huh. What else would you like me like what else do you imagine you will be mentioning? Probably your Substack.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, or
Mm-hmm.
my blog, which is just siliconflorist.com.
Uh-huh. Anything else that I should prepare?
No, I don't think
Open
so.
up in the browser.
Silicon Florist sounds so nice.
Because there is a Rose
Well,
City.
It sounds so
there's a joke there, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, because Portland's so Portland, being so close to Silicon Valley was one of the first to kind of adopt another silicon moniker, and so it was called the Silicon Forest here because of all our forest and trees, and because that name was already taken, and and Portland's known as the Rose City. I was like, well, I'll just call my blog Silicon Florist. That makes enough sense. So it's a bad joke pun.
It is interesting story anyway.
I
But
see you very, very
I
impressed.
need to I
Like,
need
very amusing
to
story,
just
and like turning off the Discord.
no, I am, but
I'm
I
out.
can't.
That's the
Yeah,
dumbest
like I'm
story I've
out.
ever
Yeah,
heard.
that's enough for me. That's enough. Anna, can we see
No
more
more
of your
puns.
ceiling?
Yeah.
Ah, my
Draw
ceiling.
as it
My
was,
okay.
and put yourself in the center.
Or the ceiling lower. Also level up the cam.
I
That's
hate you.
fine.
Okay,
That's
I don't
fine.
hate you. I don't hate you.
That's fine.
Mwah.
That's
Is
fine.
this
So,
bad?
okay. Eric's Twitter, siliconflorist.com. Pi.
Yep.
Then, like, the podcast name, Rick Turoczy on Rick Turoczy on building startup ecosystems and the evolution of tech community organizers. That's actually what we wanted to touch up with you about.
Yep.
So
Cool.
it's on the podcast, so probably we will get a bit lighter on it then, since somebody else already discussed that with you. But then Anna had a fun
Oh.
topic about the trolley buses.
Oh yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
I'm
I
ready to
have.
support you, Anna, again with this.
Just a bit
Seems
of
like-
context.
It seems like there is a running theme that I am ranting about something in recent streams, and Lera is just there to support.
Yeah, I'm like, yes, Anna, let's go.
But it's
Yes,
a funny story.
Yeah, so we will talk
give a
about
bit
that.
of context during the stream, so you and other
Yes.
people would understand this.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
And one more thing.
Okay.
Should we start greeting each other in a creepy way?
In just a bit.
In just a bit, Alec
In
is
just a
fixing something. Yeah, Alec will make a creepy intro, which we all love very much.
You don't. You hate me.
It's part of our
Yeah,
routine.
this is the best. It's like,
You know, I mean, like they call it creepy intro. They bash me for that, and then they say they love it. I mean, it's like people like no,
You
that's
can't
not how
win.
it works.
You can't win. No.
That's not how it works.
that's fine.
Bashing people. Okay, yeah, bashing people
Which
is fine.
just you usually, but
A
that's
healthy relationship, very healthy.
not toxic at all.
Yeah, but please be nice to Rick. You
We're
can
always
be,
nice here.
you
We're
can
always
be whatever
nice
you want
here.
to me, but be nice to Rick.
We are
And,
always nice.
like on last stream, they bashed Tristan for
No,
no
it was
reason.
only Anna. I was
It
just
was
supporting
only-
her. I was just
See?
standing behind and like, yes, go Anna, go, go.
I don't understand what you're saying, but I support you.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Mm.
Today probably gonna happen the same. So
No, I don't
Maybe.
think so.
Good.
Yeah.
I think
well,
we
we're
we
not
are
talking
warmed
about
up and ready.
crypto, so probably.
Yeah, we're not.
Oh,
Warmed
thanks
up and
God.
ready. I'm double checking that like Twitch works, Facebook works, YouTube works, and
Such a beautiful layout. Oh my God, I'm so proud.
I'm always
yeah,
curious. Have you
we just
ever seen
supplemented it
our?
today. So
Have you ever, Rick, seen our episodes? Like how
Any?
Yeah,
chaotic they
yeah,
are.
yep, totally.
Okay. Okay, so you know what's gonna
So
happen.
you're
Yeah,
ready.
I know what I'm in for. There's no surprise there. Yeah.
Okay, because
perfect.
people sometimes like being surprised what's going on, so
They don't. Yeah.
just in case.
Mhm. So good. I even didn't forget to click the record button. See, I'm amazing too today.
Let's go.
Yes, start already.
So on Monday this week, Anna and myself we went to talk to some prominent investor, and that made Anna super angry, super. And I even let her home because I was afraid that she will kill somebody on the way. and today we will talk to Rick about the same things. About are creators
Cool.
really
Great.
startups? About communities? Are communities really a product? About startup accelerators?
About
Is
trolley
there
bus.
value in that? Can we generate value out of online startup accelerators? Does it even all make sense? And we will talk about Portland, and then we'll talk about Rick, and it's gonna be awesome. And we will see if we make Anna angry again because she's very
Oh,
funny when she's angry.
Yes.
so that's
But
why you keep me around.
Yes.
I know you
That's why
also
we
make
love you.
sense to all the stream. But let's start
Yeah.
the intro from you, Anna. What else do
Wow.
you do except for being angry at investors?
I'm hopefully now in the middle of the picture.
Oh.
And no, okay, good. I am
And the ceiling
writing.
is like,
Yeah. Well, I don't know what to do about that.
That's
Okay,
fine, whatever.
I'm writing a newsletter. Okay, let's start from the beginning. I'm
uh,
writing a newsletter. I am an engineer, and I have billions of hobbies that I just poke around, and I sometimes stalk people online as normal people do.
oh.
and you experiment with crypto, and you position
Yeah,
yourself as a creator,
yeah.
and Lera.
You always add something to my
Yeah, of
intro.
course. Because you always forget to tell something. Okay, I'm Lara, just in case. I'm designer, art director. Oh my god, look at new background that we have today. This is new one. Yes, also community manager, big boss, boss lady, oh my, and other boring stuff.
Look what happens. What happens? Like there is something on the back of the screen. Let me just do it. Like, look,
Oh
that's her
yes.
picture. She's so amazing.
Oh
She's
my
so
god, I
amazing,
know.
right?
Yes.
You don't have like if you're not from Eastern Europe, you don't have context to why
Yes.
this picture makes sense, and this is fine. Everything is fine in the stream. We just bring some Eastern European vibe
And
onto you.
culture. Yeah.
Right. So who am I? I'm the techie person here around the streams, and I have background in developer relations and game development. And I'm here so they have somebody else to make fun of, except for just the speakers. And Rick.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
We noticed you eventually. We were so enjoying ourselves so much. So
How are you
We can
doing?
keep going with you. I'm happy to listen. Like
no,
that's totally fine.
no, we
Yeah,
want you.
so I'm Rick Turoczy. I'm the co-founder and general manager of a startup accelerator called Pi in Portland, Oregon. And if people don't know where Oregon is, it's on the west coast of the United States, just north of California. I've been doing that work for about 12 years, and for about 15 years, I've been doing volunteer work as kind of a community organizer for the startup community here in Portland.
God, community
Cool.
organizing. That's
Communities,
cool.
like in real life communities. Like I mean, it's same as with events. When people say events, like people assume events, and then like they have to say like it's in real life events. Like oh, in
Right.
real life
Yeah.
events. So like when you talk about the communities, like
Nowadays, you are thinking like that it's online communities and gathering
Sure,
real
yeah.
communities. Oh my.
Yeah, so this started very much kind of in real life community, like events and gatherings and happy hours and those kind of things, and like co-working space and those kind of things. And now had started to transition into more like Slack and Discord and things like that, and now obviously has been forced to be completely virtual for the past 18 months or so. Oregon has been pretty much locked down for over a year because of the pandemic.
But can you reflect a bit on that? And I mean, I understand it has been like a very um, interesting year in
Yeah.
all senses,
Yep.
and perhaps I mean, at some point you wanted to move on. You wanted like to keep like giving value to
Yeah.
these people and to help people survive this all and their businesses too. Their startups
Yep.
are alive and thriving. So can you reflect a bit on that and what that means, and perhaps something that you're proud of what you have learned, what you have done, of like how to pivot that in real life thing to online and yeah. So
Yeah.
what school is
Yeah.
there?
Yeah, it's been a really interesting experiment to figure out how to run our program and our community as a completely virtual entity. I think we always understood that there was value of meeting in person with other people and like meeting face to face or being able to talk to people face to face. But I think it really came into sharp relief how valuable some of those just organic connections are, or accidental connections that often happen in person in community or in spaces that people share. And so trying to transition our program to virtual was really challenging. I was really happy that the founders going through our program were willing to experiment with us in that regard, because it was our first time running a fully virtual startup cohort. And so we were learning alongside them, trying to figure out what worked. I think the most surprising thing to me was simply how emotionally taxing having everything be virtual was, like how worn out people got just being online and at virtual events constantly, especially people who are more extroverted and enjoy being around people and gain energy from being around people. So I think those were our primary learnings. I don't really look forward to having to do it again. We did that experiment once. I don't want to have to do it again because it didn't work. It would. But if we wind up having to kind of go back into that fully virtual program, we've at least learned enough about what works and what doesn't to run an even better program next time around.
Can we
And
come
what?
back to trolleybus? I'm
Okay.
sorry. I really want
Sure.
to talk because Anna, start,
Okay,
please.
so as Alex mentioned yesterday, No, on Monday, we had a conversation with an investor, and we were talking basically about creators, communities, and being a creator in nowadays. And the conversation was basically about how can you consider a creator a startup? And their argument was no, uh, creator can't be a startup just because it's a solo founder. And solo founders are always risk for venture capital. And if trolleybus hits them and they die, their business dies with them.
Yeah, see, in the U.S., it's just a bus. We don't say trolley bus. So, like,
Oh.
but I totally get the
So,
analogy. It's
just
like,
a
what if I
bus.
get hit by a bus? Like, that's the analogy here. So,
So,
yeah.
what do you think?
What do I think about that? So, the definition of startup is a religious argument for folks. Like, I don't think there's any clear, definitive thing that says this is a startup and this isn't. I mean, there's I've worked for startups that are 12 years old and are still a very small team of people trying to find product market fit. I've worked for startups that are 1,200 people and still aren't really formed as a fully sustainable company. Um, I am a huge fan of solo founders. I think the kind of advent of low code, no code tools have really enabled a lot of people who, even as non-technical founders have been able to build solutions or communities in really interesting and compelling ways. Where I think the investor, kind of putting myself in the investor's shoes, I think probably where they're coming from is investors tend to think of startups as something that, like, if they pour money into it, it's going to grow exponentially and, and grow and get really big and burn through all that money and then go, and that kind of cycle. So I can see from an investor standpoint how they might not think of a solo founder or a creator as a startup. But I think if it's somebody who's, a solo founder who's hustling and building a brand and building a community, and there's more there than the creator, and the community feels connection with one another, and there are bonds of trust among people, even independent of the creator, then yeah, I wouldn't have any problem defining that as a startup or seeing that as the type of company with whom I would like to work as part of the PI program.
And one more thing that they were saying that really got me, like, mildly offended me, is, is that she was referring to my company as, like, you're just a media company, like, because
No,
I'm
no, no,
a,
no, no, Anna. Not like it's just a media company. It's like
yeah, that's
really,
something like a media
Yeah.
and Anna
company.
was like,
And I was listening to that, and like
Yeah.
that media company, like, for me, honestly, like, I know, like, I have like 1,200 subscribers, I have 11 paid subscribers, and for me that's a huge accomplishment. Like, I have
Yeah.
never thought that like something like that can happen with me, and then investor is sitting right in front of me and saying, well, you're just a media company, what do you want from me? That
Right.
was so frustrating. So
Yeah.
the question I guess I have is, do you, like, right now, like, I'm a creator, obviously, do you consider a newsletter a startup? Where do you
Um,
draw that line?
no, I think it could. I think it's the beginning of a startup. It might not be the actual kind of business that takes the kind of like startup path, but it's definitely the prototype of a startup. I mean, if you look
Mhm.
at things like, I always look at, if folks are familiar with Product Hunt, where a lot of people launch new products, and I know the show was on Product Hunt recently,
Yes.
and did really
Thank
well
you
on
for
there.
hunting.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you very
The
much, by the way.
so if you look at Product Hunt, that just started as a newsletter, right? Like, it was just
Yeah.
Ryan Hoover sending a newsletter to his friends about interesting products that he found, but then it kind of took on this life as a larger community and kind of media property and those kind of things. So I, BuzzFeed is a media company. It just went public for billions of dollars. Like, a media company can be a going concern, can definitely be a startup. It just, some people again have a very like strict definition of what they think of as a startup, but I tend to think of it along a spectrum of what a startup is.
and for
That's
your accelerator, like,
Mhm.
does it make sense if it's a service company, if it's a product company, or if it's a creator company or creator focused company? I mean, if it's a YouTuber, newsletter writer, or people trying to do yet another, Instagram clone or yet another DevOps tool.
Yep.
So what's your take on that? Who is more valuable in your eyes?
In our program, I can tell you what we're good at doing. It doesn't have anything to do with how we value what they're doing. I may think a YouTuber or a services company has a ton of potential. We just don't have a lot of expertise there. So we tend to deal with kind of SaaS products or mobile-based products. We deal a lot with business-to-business kind of tools, like engineers building tools for other engineers or building platforms that people can build things on. We also focus on manufactured objects, so something that requires some physical component to be a functional product. And then we also work with kind of traditional consumer products. So food and beverage, apparel, beauty, clothing, those kind of things. So we deal very much with product-based things. We don't have an understanding of how to effectively build services-based kind of businesses or startups, but we do understand people building products and like what that takes. So if we took it back to, is a newsletter a startup? If we were working with that founder and the newsletter was beginning, they had a vision for a larger kind of media property or product that would then be informed by the community gathering around that newsletter, that would totally be something we'd be interested in pursuing.
Anna, are you angry about this?
No, I'm not.
No?
How can I be angry about this? He does not want to throw me under a trolley bus.
That's already a good start.
Yes.
But I'm thinking, I mean, like at least here in Europe, people started talking, like really talking about startups in 2008-ish,
Yep.
more or
Yep.
less.
Yep.
And I feel a similar vibe is getting from like in the US right now about creators. Like people try to just give money into creators, into all those YouTubers, newsletter writers, like people who just create culture on the internet because like suddenly it scales. It's in a way it's very similar to games. Like when it starts picking up, like it just like boom, the everyone's favorite hockey stick. But I'm just thinking, if this seems to be the next step, if creators are the next startups, is it something that I just came up with, or is it something that has been on the back of your head too?
We haven't put much thought to it, to be honest, not because it's not a viable space. It's just, again, not where our expertise tends to be. But we definitely see that in the US too, that like this kind of creator economy, and more so, I think where we would be interested is the tools or platforms or community platforms that empower and help those creators. So like things that like Twitch is a good example, right? Like something that is a product designed to support that community would be something we were super interested in. But as far as working with the individual creators themselves, we simply don't have the expertise to be beneficial to them, and we wouldn't pretend like we did. Like if we had creators come to us, we'd be like, we're not the right place for you. You should look here, here, and here, or you should look at these types of programs to support you in your growth. But yeah, there's a ton of potential there. I think like we see with everything, there's a very kind of like early adopter period where traction and following and community is maybe easier to build because it's less noisy. And then as more and more companies kind of enter the space, it becomes more and more difficult. Like by way of example, when we started our accelerator program 12 years ago, there was this kind of there was this kind of mentorship guidance where everybody would say, well, just release your product as quickly as you can. It doesn't matter if it's buggy, it doesn't matter if it's ugly, just get it out there and get people using it. And they would kind of reference, and I would do this myself. I'd be like, go look at Twitter's original homepage or Yahoo's original homepage and see how bad it looked when they launched it. And that was fine back then. But today, consumers and users have an expectation of quality that they've gained from being on the web for, some people for their whole life. So they have this expectation that is much different and makes it more difficult for founders to get the kind of traction or attention they want because there's that higher expectation for what they're doing.
The founders need a community.
May I ask a humble question, actually?
Sure.
So basically, you told that you see that there is a potential in the creators and stuff like that, and you said that like you just don't have much this in UX. Why don't you just hire experts?
Please hire Gen Z. That's what you're saying.
No, I'm saying like, why don't you want to jump into this train also if you see there is a potential in creators and stuff like that?
It's just like we're good at doing what we do. We're not looking to like expand beyond that. And I would much rather empower somebody who is passionate about that community and really wants to like support those folks. I would rather support them in building their own program for that kind of thing than saying, oh yeah, Pi also does that too. I think where we found we become less effective is if we become too widespread in the types of solutions we're trying to help people with. But we're very comfortable with if somebody were to come to Pi and say, hey, I have this idea for a creator accelerator, and it's going to be a creator community, and we kind of want to build a program or platform like Pi to support it. I would be the first one to raise my hand to help them build that thing, but it's just not something we're interested in doing.
I just see Anna's eyes glowing. She's like, yes, Anna, you have idea for a new startup.
I think we together wanted to start something like this a few months ago. We wanted to be the on deck, but for the creator economy. But we
Yeah,
stopped
in this particular
developing it.
location.
Yeah.
What's preventing you from doing that?
The will.
Yeah.
The time, the will.
Like, the will, mostly the will. The will. Like the money is abundant in the market, so it's pretty much like you just raise the hand and say, "Look,
please give us
look,
money.
I have a nice like wristband." But no, yeah. We should talk about it after the stream. I know.
Yeah, you should think about it. Definitely.
But I actually wanted to pick on something that Rick was talking about how startups need communities these days to start onto. And I just wonder what do you say to you in your like how do you work with startups in your accelerator so startups start communities, and what does that mean in your mind for new companies to start the community? Does it mean like a Twitter, a Facebook, page, a Slack group, and like how to approach when you don't have both the product, the users, and you already want community?
Yep. So we generally push our founders if they're super early and there's no product, it's just kind of a concept or an idea, then we push them to, and we've done this even before community was a buzzword. We're like, start something that starts attracting your intended market or customer base that doesn't require you to build anything, right? So like back then in the day, it was, a chat room or a Google group or an email newsletter or something that didn't require them to do any engineering. It was just designed to help them start to attract that market that was going to be their customer base. These days, that could be any kind of community associated tool. So it'd be anything from Twitch to Slack to Discord to just Substack or newsletters or whatever. Just start engaging with that community so that you're a known entity once you have an actual product to bring to that community. And then I think the other aspect of it is talk about the idea to the community. I think a lot of founders are very kind of precious with their ideas and kind of keep them very secretive and are worried that, well, if I talk about this, somebody's going to steal it. And in actuality, the more you talk about it and socialize it with the community, the better feedback and understanding you will have about the product you should be building and could be building. And you might discover that the community comes up with a better idea for what you should be doing than you originally had. So I think that engagement with customers or potential customers, if you call it community or user group or whatever you call it, just engaging with people as soon as you possibly can and socializing the idea as soon as you possibly can is the most effective way to build a successful company, in our opinion.
Yeah, but how do I get a community if I'm like just young startup? I'm just starting doing shit. I don't know anything. I like only my mom is following me.
And you have cool friends.
And like
and
to my
also you're
friends.
busy programming.
Yeah. So your community, the community you're seeking exists somewhere. Like there's either an existing solution that they're using that the product is comparable to or better than. There's a tangential community that maybe is not directly applicable to your product, but you recognize that folks in that community or a subset of that community will be attracted to your product. I'm always of the mind that the potential for community always exists for people. It's just not fully realized, or the right people aren't connected, but they're ready to be connected. And so the challenge of the founder is to figure out where their community currently exists. And it may exist in a very generic way, right? It may be, well, I know that all these people in my city go to this regular networking meetup, right? And it's not specific, but there are a bunch of different people there. So that may be somewhere to start to find that traction. Or it may be something very explicit. It may be, I know my product is going to help people who are generally building in Node, or with serverless architecture. So I'm going to start going to meetups that are associated with those particular technologies, because those folks are going to be primed to understand the solution I'm developing. So the people are out there, and you kind of have to, like the same way you're concepting a product, you kind of have to conceptualize a community and say, these are the types of folks I think would benefit from both the community and the product, and start kind of targeting them the same way you would customers.
It sort of
I,
all
I
makes
have
sense. But yeah, Anna?
I have a holy war kind of a question, and I think It's applicable for founders and for creators
Yep.
together. So sometimes founders are building products for a market they don't have personal expertise in,
Yep.
which means they don't know where like Node developers are hanging out. For example, if they're building something for them, what do you think? And does it make sense to have a lot of personal expertise in some area to start a newsletter or a startup in that area, or you specifically need someone from that industry to be your co-founder?
I don't have a firm opinion one way or the other. I've seen people do both. I think there's a school of thought that so long as you are curious about a space and willing to kind of promote and share information about that particular topic or space, you can build a community around it, regardless of your level of knowledge. Like if you know the mechanics of how communities work, you can pick a topic and help form a community around that one. I think that might be more difficult to do. I still think it's possible. I think the challenge with folks who are building products or communities around topics that they don't understand is generally those are folks who are like, we're going to disrupt this industry, when they don't have enough knowledge about the industry to even disrupt it. And so it's kind of a mismatch. So that, for sure. But I always love it when people have some subject matter expertise. Like I like folks who, and I'm really drawn to folks who are like, this is a problem I had. And so I'm building this community to solve that problem, or I'm building this product to address that problem because it's important to me. And I think the reason I like those things so much is, even if it's only a handful of people that are attracted to that product or community, it's solving a problem for someone. When you don't have any expertise, you may be building a product or solve problems for anyone, even you, because you're not part of the community. So I think it's a lot easier to be misdirected without that level of expertise, but I think it's possible.
So we have time for one more question, and I have two already. But Anna and Lera, if you want to jump in front of me, please do.
Go.
I'm allowed to
Uh,
speak or
yeah,
not,
you are
Anna?
allowed. You
Am I
are
allowed
allowed
to
to
speak?
speak. No, you
Am I
are
allowed to
allowed
speak?
to speak.
That's a very rare occasion on this podcast, so I hope I earned it somehow.
You're wasting your time.
So actually, I wanted to get a bit back on the accelerator
Mhm.
part.
Yep.
And I'm just thinking, I mean, like for 27 minutes, I've been digesting like what you have said, that like you tried the online part in Pi,
Mhm.
and it sort of didn't work. But can we dream for a bit? Like, what can we do to make online accelerator work? Like, what would that mean in part? Like, would a hybrid model work, or would some people be at a disadvantage then? Do we need better tools? Do we need better mindset?
What was wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or what can
Yeah.
we do to make it beautiful?
Yep. No, that's a great question. I think a lot of it has to do with who we selected and their ways of engaging with others, or their learned behaviors. So, for example, if we're forced to do a fully virtual program again, a lot of our selection process, in addition to the people and the products or companies they're trying to build, in addition to those, I feel like we need to be explicit about, are you comfortable, being on Slack day in and day out? Like, is that a way you communicate on a regular basis? Are you comfortable being on video calls constantly? Do you spend a lot of time online already, just personally? Is that something you enjoy doing or capable of doing? Because I think one of the
But I
challenge
think I will jump in. Before Corona,
yeah,
nobody knew that, like, do they like spend time on the
right.
internet? Do they like Slack or Zoom or anything? Before Corona, like, nobody had a clue about that. So you just had to.
We just
And
had, yeah,
when you ask people like, hey, do you like what's your favorite online community tool? People will say, whatever, Facebook, or like the one they use. That's the answer. So when you ask people if they like online, or like what's the favorite tool, the answer is like no and nothing, or like the tool they know.
Yeah.
So I
well,
just
well,
wonder
but
how
let's
would
say,
you
yeah,
address that?
but so let me give you an example. Like when Pi started, and we were just working with engineers building tools for other engineers, we all 40 people sat in the same room, all with headphones on, none of us talking to one another physically. We were just all on chat, constantly chatting with one another. We were a fully online community, because that's how the engineers chose to communicate and interact with one another, even though they shared the same physical space. So I think what we would look for is people with that kind of personality trait, where it's like, even if they were to be in physical space, they would prefer to be typing at one another, because that would translate more readily to a fully virtual program than trying to recreate some physical connection in a virtual environment. Does that make sense?
It does, and I think I got a better answer than I could even possibly expect. And since I mean, like, I talk a lot to startup accelerators and
Mhm.
co-working spaces and hubs, and just like thinkers about like online versus in real
Yep.
life and hybrid, and part of the answer have been like, we need to develop a new culture of how to interact online, and as society, the society has to figure out how it works and just get used to it.
But Corona, like, boosted this skill, no? As far as
Yep.
I see.
And
And
some
and and
people.
boosted the burnout too. I think if you weren't used
Mhm.
to behaving that way, being online constantly burnt a lot of people out, and then they just checked out completely. And so it did almost the opposite of what we were hoping, where it's like, well, if we're all online, we'll all feel more connected, and people actually felt more lonely and disconnected and burnt out than when they'd been meeting in person. So just
Yeah, that's
the
obviously because online will not replace the offline
right,
experience, but still,
right.
after a long time when you're sitting alone in the room, you're like, okay, at least online would be enough for me.
At least somebody
Well,
else is alive
yeah,
on this planet.
at least something.
I mean, it's kind of like if you look at a product like Facebook, right? Like grandma eventually got on Facebook because that was the only place she could
Yes.
see pictures of the grandkids, right? So like there was some forcing function that caused all of us to get online. It doesn't really it doesn't mean that everybody acclimate to it effectively or be able to deal with it effectively, but I think we can be judicious about choosing the people who have the greatest chance of success and in performing in that kind of environment.
I totally buy your reply, and I will forward it to all the accelerators and hub, like tech hub people that I'm
Have them
talking
yell
to.
Is
at
it
me.
recorded?
Yeah.
Yes,
Have 'em
because
yell at me.
they are struggling around like this, how to move their in real life community online, and
Yeah.
like I totally like your answer that like you don't move the whole community, you move just people who are ready,
Want.
and the rest will either follow or they're
Yep.
losers. We just don't care about them anyway.
Right. Or they're
That's
not the
true.
right fit right now, right? That
Mhm.
you need, some people need that physical proximity. They need to feel that like emotional
Or
connection
fourth
with other
wave of
people.
corona.
Yeah,
Oh my
exactly. So
god.
whatever it is, epsilon or zeta. Yeah. So like
Yeah.
but you have to the responsibility there is not on the founders or the startups. That responsibility is on the accelerator to make the appropriate selection of companies that are going to be successful in their programs. And trying to say that, well, we're just going to turn our program is irresponsible of the accelerator program. That's not helping founders. That's not pushing them forward. That's creating additional stress that may negatively impact both the founders. So I think we as accelerator managers need to change the way we think running the program, not ask them to change the way they like to engage with one another.
And if you like what Rick is talking about, look, there is a podcast on Silicon Florist that seems to continue on the idea what Rick is talking about right now. We don't have time to dig into this at the moment, but look, as you finish watching us, the next thing you click on is this. Got it? Perfect. I like that you're nodding. And with that, Lara, would you like to do some creepy outro?
Oh
Because
no,
I
I'm
did a
not
creepy
doing
intro.
this. I'm not doing this. Anna, do you feel better? Do you feel like after psychotherapy,
I
do you feel
Oh,
more
you,
satisfied?
you,
feeling alive,
We can
staying
go back
alive.
to talking about Twilight if that would help. Like if that put you in a better
I
mood.
don't think so. No, it's a childhood trauma, let's say it that way.
or you can do the trolley bus sound and like it's passing away and it doesn't hit you.
Yes.
See how good it is.
Yes.
I can impersonate my cat.
That would
Okay.
be a nice outro, Anna, please.
I can okay.
Thank you for listening to our very smart and educational podcast.
Are you translating? Perfect. Perfect. Continue, please.
Yes. Yeah,
Good.
thank you very much, Rick. That was really good psychotherapy for Anna because she needed it.
And
Good.
other
That's what I'm here
creators
for.
too.
Yeah.
And other
Yes.
creators too, I
Thank you
think.
for supporting us and actually like on the product hunt. Not supporting how it's called.
Hunting.
Hunting, yes.
Hunting,
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah, happy to do it. And I'm really happy. Thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you. That is it. It stopped. And thank you once again.
Sure.
And have a very beautiful, I think it's day, not evening just yet.
It's a day for me. Yeah. And just let me know, just tag me on Twitter or whatever once the show's up and I'll help.
Yes, it's on
promote it.
Monday. It's on
Okay,
Monday.
cool.
Thank
Awesome.
you. Goodbye.
Thank you. See you later.
Ну что, выдох.